Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for another Cosmonarchy cast. We are continuing coverage of Acropolis number 3's Gauntlet Stage. We are in Gauntlet Stage A. Gauntlet Stage B is beginning as soon as we have 12 members signed up, so make sure to do that. Link to our Discord server will be in the description below, and I'll periodically nudge people towards the sign-up sheet. We've got Shopkeeper Dog in the bottom left as our red Terran player. Oh, vivid red, in fact. With Hupsaiya in the top right as... What color is this? Glacial. Oh, it was electric blue. He is our Protoss player in the top right, and we have the map of Radium as our starter. I'm looking forward to this one. This is a best of 3. This is one of the upper matches of the tournament, and definitely something that I think has a lot of value. I can tell you right here, right now, that our second map is going to be near impact, and if we need a third map to decide the series, it will be Serenity. So keep that in mind as we continue on. I'll show the whole map veto and stuff in the second round. I just decided that would be the format now because the last time I was trying to show it at the early game, we got rushed. But I should have guessed that Shopkeeper Dog wouldn't be super aggro in the early stages, and same kind of for Hupsaiya. I actually haven't seen him play too much lately. He was supposed to play against Jack Yelansky earlier on in the Tribunal stage, but couldn't make it in time, so there it goes. But with that being said, he has been able to rock up to this match, and even though he's been out of the game for a long time, Shopkeeper Dog has some mental, I would say, like vulnerability almost, in the sense that he seems to believe that TVP is just an unwinnable matchup, and so he was definitely sure that he would lose to Hupsaiya, go down to the lower bracket, and I think he said something about losing to some other Protoss. I'm not sure who it would have been. Maybe Kasuga? I think by this point, it would have been Kasuga or Arbuz, because I think at some point they face off against each other. Anyway, it's hard to remember all the different matchups, but I remember seeing some conversation about how any Protoss in the tournament could beat Shopkeeper Dog, and it was by Shopkeeper Dog himself saying that. So I just find that a little bit silly. I do think you need a little bit more confidence than that coming into this. And we already have a Drakodon out here to try to fight the Vulture back. We'll have to find out what happens here as the... Well, he gets the mine off in the face, but... not really that much value gained besides the fact that he can go up a little bit further. If he scouts the Nexus, that's vital information. Looks like he will be doubling up on that. He's trying to dance around the mine, but he hasn't seen that the Nexus is on the way. This is one gate Nexus. This is something that I do think, some kind of mech-based build can do go a long distance here, as the mines do end up striking. Still no hull damage dealt to any of these Drakodons. The 2 armor of the Drakodon really helping out against the Vulture. Star pad on the way. It will be, looks like Blackjack Mass, or he's probably going to be setting himself up for the Matador drop. So second gate on the way, Embassy on the way. This is a fairly, greedy might be too strong a word for it, but it's definitely a more economic build here from Hupsaiya. He wants to get the Embassy out so he can get witnesses to clear the mines, but it'll also afford him extra workers later on through the Artisan. And of course, there's the faster expansion off of only one gateway. So he is kind of vulnerable to these early pressures. The Vultures are continuing to get some value here. Still, only now doing some hull damage. But, trading 2 Vultures for just a little bit of hull damage. Now the Drakodons themselves can play Minesweeper. That could actually delay his first witness. Maybe he just ends up going for Artisans directly if he feels like the Vulture pressure is off. We do have a couple of Blackjacks on the way. 4 of them, in fact. And we do indeed have the Matador push that is destined to grace our screens. And looks like some of those Vultures are indeed going to sync up with each other, the mines again being swept by just the ground units. This is good moves from Hupsaiya. What we really generally want to see from the Protoss players is clearing those mines without letting the Terran set up too much. But it does, I will point out, this build has given the initiative over to the Terran player, in part because Hupsaiya has decided to go for the more macro-oriented opening here. I think Hupsaiya does generally identify himself as a macro player. I'm sure I've seen really good things out of his unit control, so it's not to say that his micro is a slouch or anything. I just mean that he seems to stylistically prefer getting up to the epic tech and using the deeper options in the tech tree and macroing up on multi-base gameplay that probably helps him feel like he is indeed alive. Playing StarCraft 2-esque styles where he's going for run-bys more than anything. Now, the Witness is, I think, just out of range of seeing that Trojan, but there is a Warden in the mineral line. Those Matadors are deployed, which is kind of funky because as of right now, the Matador siege animation is super quick. But it does look like here we're going to have the Mason scout out to see what's going on. The The defenders are already in the mineral line, which is kind of a cute move. And we've got the beginnings of a Legionnaire drop. Very interesting. Matadors are going to smoke them. And this push out here is already kind of deadly. The Ancial allowing that Matador to shield so much damage. I guess the focus fire was a little bit poor on the Zealots, but now we've got the Matador drop in the mineral line, and Hupsaiya has not looked over there to see what's going on. Now, they've only got a couple of kills, only 4 worker kills so far, but they will break down the Warden, and so that does need to be uprooted in a different way. Now coming out, he splits the workers. It looks like we have a total of, 2 more worker kills after that. Not quite going to be able to do much else. Oh, well, the fire took another one out, so there you go. I think that's a total of like 5-6 workers dead. Not terrible, but remember that Shopkeeper Dog doesn't actually have his natural mining right now, so that kind of broke even for him. Transitioning into a couple of fulcrums here, the blackjack count is pretty high. I don't know if the Legionnaire drop will find too much value here. I'm curious as to when Hupsaiya will pull the trigger on that move. Envoys move really, really fast. It's like, I know Hupsaiya plays a lot of StarCraft 2 much more than he plays Cosmo. If he were to imagine Warp Prism speed upgrade on that, that's basically, like, they move super fast. So, of course, you don't need to upgrade anything in Cosmonarchy. You just may build the unit, but yeah, he's going to find a nice little timing here. Some blackjacks will come out fairly soon, but he probably wants to sync up his drop attack with his frontal-based attack. And he's starting to add an Ardent Authority. I love to see some Positrons or Acantors maybe. The Legionnaires are going to run in without actually having any frontal attack. So this is going to be something that I think Dog is going to be easy as it goes, easy as it comes. He's not worried about it whatsoever. And send back the Masons. But, a little bit of eco damage there. He kills 1 worker. He denies some mining time. The Envoy is going to scoot out. And now look at this. The frontal push comes in. No map control. No vultures were reinvested into. Just these wounded ones from earlier days. And the NCL will try to defend that Matador, but it does end up getting ore blocked away. Now it's going to be focused down shorely. There it is. But, hey, actually, Hupsaiya has kind of bungled the retreat. He should have moved to the right there. Now his unit's getting split. It looks like 2 extra Dracodons dying than maybe needed. But all in all, I still think, tempo-wise, Hupsaiya has claimed a little bit of that. Goodness, he's got a lot of money. He banked up, though. I think he was almost there at 2,000 minerals. He drops a third base. He's got his artisans idling at the sort of 3 o'clock position, I guess you could call it. He still has that Envoy somewhere. His Legionnaires are once again entering the building, causing more chaos, and I think a couple of units popping out here, especially those Phalanxes, will be enough to deal with this relatively easily. The Ancial can also continue to protect it, and now the static defense is on the way at the natural. This Blackjack army is indeed moving forward. The units out of the rally will clean that up. There's only a pair of Legionnaires still in the natural, and, really, I think what he needs to do is resaturate his main base. Shopkeeper Dog moving to do just that. This is kind of an awkward match, right? I mean, we're looking at it, and I'm basically thinking, right now, if the Blackjacks don't do it, if they don't finish the job, Dog is going to go down, it seems. The Phalanxes are so far away. He's going to go after the Matrix, though. That's good. The Cantor is online, but the Blackjacks can kind of ore block around. They probably should have focused on some of those Wardens before they finished up, and now, falling back, that one Legionnaire has killed so many Masons, going up to 10 worker kills in the natural. I thought maybe the Mason would finish it up, but apparently not. And now with the Acantor out, I don't really see how the Blackjacks can do much of anything here. Dog is going to GG. Hupsaiya just kind of held it. He had a lot of money in the bank even at the end of the game. Not quite as much as he had eclipsed at the very beginning. But damn, I think, honestly, that was a really close game. It could have gone either way, but it was also a very messy one. Maybe sloppy is a reasonable term for it. Anyway, we're going to go to game number 2, where I'll take a look at the map veto in more depth and also see if Hupsaiya is even going to need that decider map in order to close the series out. We return, and this time we are on Near Impact for map 2 of this series. If Shopkeeper Dog wants to proceed to face Top Robin, who we saw defeated Cannoli earlier in the tournament, well, I'm sure he's thirsting over some TVT. He's going to need to defeat Hupsaiya here and also on our third map. To find out, once again, what that third map is, let's take a look at the pick band, and then I'll do my color guessing as usual. Radium was, of course, our starter. That was after Decapitation banned by Dog and Brainstorm banned by Hupsaiya. Interesting, because Hupsaiya previously said he doesn't want to play on any Force Spawn maps, so the fact that he vetoed that one, I wonder if he played some practice games and he was like, fuck that map. Near Impact was, of course, his selection. Then we had Mass Destruction vetoed by Dog and Check Stealer vetoed by Hupsaiya. So Serenity will be our decider. I believe there was maybe... I think that might have been the only other 4-spawn map. Yeah, I don't know if there's another 4-spawn map in the pool. Hard for me to remember them all when there's so many now. But that is indeed where we find ourselves. This time, Hupsaiya is definitely glacial. And there it is. I almost guessed electric blue, but I learned. I looked at it. I said, no, it's brighter. He is in the top left. And we've got Shopkeeper Dog in the bottom right. Is this bronze? Dark bronze. I guess I was half correct. So, you know, our ratio is slightly positive now. Going for that first fulcrum. He's got a lot of money in the bank mineral-wise. I'm guessing he wants to make a vulture and then go into a ministry. This will be a 1 fulc expand build, judging by it. He could also go for some kind of bio play after. We'll see. His color is also very fun to try to read on the minimap, so I'll be keeping my eyes peeled. It might be a little bit easier on the darker color, but maybe not. Maybe not. So it's 2-gate this time from Hupsaiya. Doesn't feel as comfortable, it looks like, dealing with the fulcrum pressure. But this is actually kind of unfortunate, right? So Shopkeeper Dog, he's responding in some ways. At least this is how I'm reading it. Of course, he might be doing this for his own reason, his own edification. But as he catches the Scribe Scout in the middle of the map, I think Dog is basically saying, you went for a fast expo last game, or something more, you know, lighter on units. I am going to go for a ministry and try to hold. And now Hupsaiya is going for 2-gate, so he could end up just getting a nice little base timing here. And defeating Shopkeeper Dog that way. But if there's good mine usage here by the vultures, I love this like anti-run by mine as well. The lobotomy mines obviously just stun and slow. They don't do damage, but it's definitely a good move there for the vultures. He's even got 3 more mines ready to go. Oh, he's so close. If that once that Mason moves forward, now he can pounce on it, even with the Cyclops coming down as well. It shouldn't be enough to kill the Hierophant, but if these vultures keep going, wow, look at that. Well, you've... certainly sprung my trap card there, Hupsaiya. Interesting stuff indeed. Pretty neat, pretty neat. I think also it's worth pointing out the with the ministry moving over to the natural, Shopkeeper Dog does have that expand tempo, right? The Nexus only now coming after the 2-gate opener. It's going to afford a lot more economy for Shopkeeper Dog, who's kept up in worker production this entire time. Obviously, that means he's got marginally less money, because your workers are married to building construction as Terran. But overall, it's certainly enough that he's quite equipped. He's quite equipped with this. Now that, unfortunately, lobotomy mine getting exposed here by the overlay. Sometimes there's certain overlays that don't respect whether or not you've been burrowed, which I'll have to fix later on. Good reminder. Got Quad Drac looking around here. There's no real way that the Dracodins would try to run by this position anyway, but they are going to get that extra armor boost on the Anchor and on the Vultures, so it's going to take a little bit more effort, I think, for the Dracodins to make anything happen here. So Hupsaiya just kind of dancing around. He might have been able to pick those sort of satellite mines out of the picture, but as of right now, just going to be waylaying with a couple of extra gateway units. He's now capping his ridge after the expand, and he can send some workers down there, just a few workers down there, to saturate. Maybe like 5 or so on the minerals can be pulled down to the natural. Basically, the general rule is that when you're at 14 workers here, any excess workers should be put down, because that's twice as many as the mineral fields you have. Any of them can be transferred over, and then you are good to go. But, you know, it's good to oversaturate after that fact. It's just more efficient to transfer them out, so... See if Hupsaiya ends up doing that or just doing it the slow way. It's one of those things that does make a difference economically, but at this level of play might not be the biggest of deals, right? There might be other things. I mean, we saw Hupsaiya have a lot of money in the previous game anyway, right? So kind of difficult to say like, hey man, you really need to do X or Y. You know, if his concern is... You know, if we're concerned about him not having enough money, I think we can look to the last game and see that that's not an issue. I do love that he's added a pylon. Takes a StarCraft 2 player to make a pylon in Cosmonarchy because the Nexus is a power field. Pretty good stuff there. Also, I think something that is worth noting is that as we get a little bit further on into this game, we're going to see a lack of Anciel, a lack of Shaman. No detection available for Shopkeeper Dogs. So these witnesses are essentially a permanent fixture for the army of Hupsaiya. The other thing that's actually worth pointing out here, in my opinion, anyway, is there's no, not only is there no Anciel, but there's no star pad for a drop. So even though he's got the trifecta of scrapyards plus the Palladium making Phalanx, This is mostly just like a death mech push, right? He's not going for anything more tactical. He's not going for anything that's going to give him, a timing elsewhere on the map. He's really just going to be moving across the map and seeing if Hupsaiya has enough to hold. And a Matrix and a Warden start to plop down at the natural. We've got Artisans coming out as well who have kind of... oh, no, that's a Witness down there. I guess he hasn't actually deployed them just yet, so that'll be the first one gracing the field. The Witness obviously tracking the army, seeing the reinforcements. Did he get a good look at the tank count? That's what I want to know. The Phalanx count is at 2. So that is doable. You can deal with that. But you definitely need to set up for a good push here. And it feels like the mech ball is actually going to hit a good timing. Now, Shopkeeper Dog is not all in. He has a third base coming behind this. He's got a little bit more economic tempo with a higher worker count. And Hupsaiya is going to start to supersede him in that front. The frontline Cestus being constructed is very good because it will, again, increase armor by 2 for all units in its aura, as long as they're facing the attacker. And obviously, the Phalanxes might not because of the way that they are, but everything else here can just look towards this one angle, and they can be in a pretty good spot. Again, there's no long-standing ability to automatically repair, but having the Phalanx in position to get some good damage out there, I think is very, very nice. Now, the frontline Cestus is going to start moving forward. I think this might be the first time we've seen this in a tournament game. We have the Atlas on the way as well for Tier 2 as the third base Ministry is about to complete. We got sort of tertiary defenses being put up in the back line there, as an Acantor is on the way, a Crucible on the way as well. Where is that Crucible? Okay, it's going to empower all the production. That makes a lot of sense. I like to think about the Crucible as a way to, almost for StarCraft 2 players, think about the Crucible as applying a constant chrono boost to all structures around it. It also applies to like static defense, as if your photon cannons could attack faster when chronoed or something in StarCraft 2. That's kind of how you can think about it. Very, very good structure, but I don't think it's going to hit in time. Now, the Zealots are here in pretty good number, too. Hupsaiya has done a good job of macroing outside of those gateways, but now in this choke point with the extra armor, the Blackjacks are enduring a lot longer than they would otherwise, and all those Zealots clumped up in favor of those Phalanxes. This looks like it'll be a little bit too much. The Blackjack count has reinforced. There is that one Acantor that... well, Hupsaiya has to make sure it stays alive, and I don't think it's going to. It's so slow. Oh, there it is. I think with that Acantor going down, that was the last real ditch effort that Hupsaiya had to do anything, because behind this Shopkeeper Dog, floating though he may be, is setting up his Tier 2. It just finished. The Witness is not actually seeing that right now, but at some point Hupsaiya may decide to take a look at that, and he'll see, damn, I got out macroed here. And the push was just a little bit too much. I think this kind of push does deal pretty well with Acantors, because the Phalanxes can be a pretty good counter to it if the Acantor is like in small numbers, right? If you had like 3 or 4 of them, then you just annihilate all the Blackjacks, armor be damned. But when you only have 1 or 2, the Phalanxes can definitely support that. And now in a very uncomfortable position, pushed back into his natural as more Blackjacks and Phalanxes arrive on the front lines. We've got mantles being constructed behind this for that Tier 2 mech, and that's another dead Acantor. GG has to be called, and, well, Shopkeeper Dog will tie us up and take us to that decider. Serenity is where we'll settle this series. Map number 3 coming up. We do love to see a competitive series, and, you know, the last one was a best of 3 that went all 3 maps. That was Top Ramen Cannoli. This time around, we've got Hupsaiya and Dog duking it out, and they also need to settle their score on Serenity, funnily enough. That was also where we took things to task for Top Ramen and Cannoli. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Serenity was the opener. I'm mistaking it. Serenity, Brainstorm, and then I think it was Kingwa Valley to decide. So there you have it. Not at all what I said, but it is also a Biddy map, just like Kingwa Valley. Jujic did some decoration on this one. Shout out to him. And Hupsaiya in the bottom left with his gateway is going to be... is he another one of those off blue colors? I guess this is electric blue again. I was about to guess cyan, and that would have been funny. Because if he was 3 different colors that are in the same family in the series back to back, I'd be like, damn, nice color config, dude. In the top right, we've got Shopkeeper Dog. I guess he's brass? Oh, no, it's light olive. Brass, I guess, is a bit more yellow. Anyway, he is our Terran player in the top right. We narrowly edged out the color guessing here, unless you don't give me any credit for those partial guesses, like when I said bronze and it was dark bronze, and you don't give me half credit for that. Then in that case, I was only 50% accurate with the color guesses. But I hope you guys will be a little bit charitable here. You know, we love a little charity here in Cosmonarchy. So if you're feeling like sending us some donos, well, you know where to go. The coffee link on the bottom right of your screen, the description box of the YouTube video. We appreciate the donations. Veek7 is actually working on that replay analyzer. It's going to be a very, very hype addition to the toolkit that we have here. And yeah, I'm personally just really looking forward to it. Going to see how we can make magic happen in the realm of Cosmonarchy. Because with that replay analyzer, we'll be able to just automatically download things like build orders eventually, stats, stuff like that. Validate it, hopefully, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. Now we have a 1-base bio into Second Ministry, so a 1 stockade expand with an anchor. That's a bold move. Hupsaiya is going to 1-gate expand himself, though, so I think this is actually just fine. The Hierophant is in no danger of death, but it's not going to be able to run past an anchor with 4 Mavericks, so should be just fine here for both players. Actually, it looks like Hupsaiya's a little bit cautious with his Hierophant. He remembers losing it in that last game. And it wasn't nothing. Like, that did have a part to play in the match. So I'm not saying it did nothing to the matchup. It was definitely bad to lose that. But I don't know, man. The Hierophant should probably scout out a little bit at least so that he doesn't immediately get blindsided. I think if he scouts out his bio, he might change his plans. Or maybe not, because I know Hupsaiya just kind of plays to his own strengths, plays to his own level, and doesn't really care too much about what the opponent is doing. He'll react to broad strategy, like are you dropping, expanding, rushing, etc. But the specific unit composition of his enemy, I don't know how much he has that push and pull. I don't know how many PVTs he's played, actually, before this series. I know he practiced some PVZ, I think, but other than that, I'm not sure. Shout out to Hit Him Up one time for that practice. So it's actually double stockade. I guess I've kind of glossed over the fact that Shopkeeper Dog made a goddamn stockade. I've never seen this except for when I've seen it versus Zerg mostly. But I've never seen it versus Protoss, I don't think. This might be the only time I've seen him play Bio versus Toss. Certainly the only time that's coming to mind anytime recently is what I'm seeing right here. And of course it's the Covenant. We do love that. He's going to go for, looks like double Covenant here. He doesn't have the gas for the second one just yet, but he'll go ahead and add more stockades. So I think Ayud has been saying that he likes Savants a lot. Hit Him Up said that Savants can fight like Bactylus compositions against Zerg. I don't know if it's been mapped out versus Protoss. This might be freewheeling experimentation. But again, Dog does play a decent amount of practice game. So I am just kind of out of my element here because I don't know exactly what the tactics are. I'm interested in seeing how it goes. We are up against 3 gates, so I think this is the most gateways Hupsaiya has made in the very early stages of the game. He does seem like he wants to dive directly into Aptos here with the Crucible empowering all the gateways. Savants have been pretty reasonable, I guess, when people do go Covenant-based builds. Eidolons have definitely fallen out of favor. So I guess I'm not expecting those, but there's a lot of gas being mined. Like, it would be a possibility. 3rd Stockade, and we've got a 3rd Covenant as well. Okay, 4th Stockade, rather, and a 3rd Covenant. So, pretty good stuff here for Shopkeeper Dog. He's definitely getting a lot of combat units out early on, so he's not really in any danger from this gateway-based army. He's got lots of Mavericks. He's got the Anchor on the front line. Love to see that. And a Hurakan on the way. Yeah, okay. He's basically investing into this architecture here, and he's got a lot of Vespene. What is he going to use it for? The first combat unit to be trained is going to be the Eidolon, the first one that requires the Covenant anyway. Is he running back Eidolon Hurakan against a player who's already been going Ardent? Well, there it is. Positrons and Acantors have been pretty good versus Bio in the latest patch. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait. This one is very much like I have no immediate data to pull from on this one. I'm just stylistically, theoretically, on paper, Protoss should be able to crush this with Acantors. But if the Eidolon ball gets too big, I could absolutely see a world where that's a little bit of a different story. And there are a lot of Covenants being added. It is just pure Eidolon production. God damn. Okay. Well, one of the things that we got to watch out for as well is I think there's so many answers that Protoss theoretically has to prevent Eidolons from being able to move out too far. Obviously, you want the star pad here to detect the witnesses, which we don't actually see in action here. There was no embassy made as far as I can tell. Yeah, no embassy. He skipped that. He's going straight for the Sedents and the 3rd base. He wants to play that multi-base gameplay instead for Hupsaiya's sake. This is the one game where I don't think he really could afford to skip the witnesses here. And of course, it's the one game that he did. Kind of unlucky. His Acantor is on the way. It's enhanced by a Crucible, so that Ardent Authority will be making plenty of units, plenty of quick. So actually, this shouldn't just end in like an immediate walkover. Hupsaiya definitely has enough units to make this competitive. We got one idling Eidolon. Say that 5 times fast. Idling Eidolon, idling Eidolon. I think the biggest thing is that now he knows it's bio, right? He's going to move up there and he's going to hear the shots from the Eidolon and he's going to say, okay, guys making invisible men. Where's the embassy? There it is. Immediate double embassy. I actually love this from Hupsaiya. He's going to go prostration stage as well. One thing that would be probably something that I think would need some experimentation, and it would definitely be like, it kind of reminds me of what happened in StarCraft 2 a while ago, is like Templar versus Ghost in StarCraft 2. Cantavis versus Eidolon, the storms will just kind of lock them in place, right? And the ranges are such that the Eidolons can defeat them. But yeah, with the Hurricanes coming in here and the Mavericks stemming up, they could get blown up here, but very, very nice play from Shopkeeper Dog to occupy the Acantor for as long as he did. Now he just needs to get the hell out of dodge because it looks like he's about to get overwhelmed. The Zealots are pretty well peppered though. So they will end up going down if Hupsaiya is not too careful. Now, the problem is he can't really turn around and kill that Ecclesiast because if he snipes one of those, the whole Protoss army starts moving a lot faster. So you got to watch out for that. We've got plenty more Eidolons, plenty more Hurricanes, and another stockade being dropped, spending down his money as the third ministry is on the way for Shopkeeper Dog, but he's still behind the 8-ball on that third base. And what else do we have out of the prostration stage? Pariahs are pretty good. They will be focused down quite easily in small numbers, but if you get to the point where you got 3-4 of the bad boys, it's going to be really, really hard for the Eidolons to kill all of them before the Pariah just starts chewing them across. Now, I guess Mind Tyrant Acantor is pretty good in this composition as well. You turn the front line against it by using the Mind Tyrant, Malefactor ability on the Acantor, and then everything that gets hit by the Acantor shell becomes a Protoss-controlled unit. Here comes the Witness to reveal the Eidolons. Now, I think he should keep that Witness on standby. He actually doesn't have anything over here nearby. Okay, he's got one with his army at the very least. Looks like the Hurricanes are sowing a little bit of chaos, but nothing too bad so far. That Pariah is almost complete. That was what Hupsaiya went for. His Zealots and his Dracodons are kind of all the way off to the back. Now this fight's still okay. I mean, he's got triple Acantor, right? And so his one shell, one fire from any of those Acantors, and that's one of the reasons why I was saying that about the Witness, is one shell from the Acantors fired in that direction. The Ghosts, the Eidolons, they got to get the hell out of dodge. They can't be there. Slightly misplaced ministry, judging by the mark there, and a couple of Eidolons getting heckled on the way out, but Positrons have been switched into now. At least one of them is being made. Honestly, I think a ball of Acantors is probably better. I guess Hupsaiya has a little bit of a gas bait here, but like he doesn't have as much Vespian as he has minerals in the bank. It feels like he needs to add more production, right? He could add that at around his third or around, his natural, I guess, if he wants, but he's already got this Crucible, another prostration stage, a couple more gateways to spam out Zealots. Zealots are kind of your best friend in this situation. You need to buy enough time to break through their front line with your Zealots. With everything you have. There's the Antseal now to start sniping the detection. Job got a lot harder for Hupsaiya all of a sudden. But his fourth base is about to be saturated. Really nice macro on the worker count. He's up by 40 workers almost, right? So very nice. Still looking like anybody's game right now. The Eidolon ball has continued to grow, but it's, well, with the Ancestral Archives coming, I was going to say, it's on a bit of a timer. And the gas guzzling here from Shopkeeper Dog means that he can't actually put his Atlas down anytime soon. He just queued up another round of Eidolons, I think, so he is indeed going to be, yeah. No, he's not going to be able to do too much here with his gas. Now, he is charging forward onto the third. He's kind of forking the position. Oh, he's catching a Pariah out here before it can really get any attacks done. That is not catastrophic for Hupsaiya, but it's still pretty rough. And it looks now like with the Hurricanes able to absorb so many of those plasma shells, the Acantors might get dove on by these Eidolons. Instead, the Pariah and all those other units are eating the shells for now, but we definitely need to see some salvos out that way. And, well, the Acantors can't get close enough. There's nothing to reveal the Eidolons anymore. Now he's going to go ahead and have a couple of shots sail on through. Only one of them going down, though. A little bit of static defense, and the Zealots coming out should be able to hold this attack force at bay. But one Acantor has gone down. We got more reinforcements coming in. The Ancestral Archives is not done yet. Another Pariah on the way. That's going to be very handy in trying to dispense with this. The Acantors are so far away, though. Yeah, the Pariah is just going to get nuked immediately by all those Eidolons. Oh, man, the Ancestral Archives would have had an Optecton. That would have definitely been a game changer. He's already got it out, but I feel like maybe this is too much damage. If Shopkeeper Dog doesn't spot the Ancestral before it finishes the Optecton, maybe this can change up, but there's a missed opportunity without the Mind Tyrant. I don't think that... Hupsaiya cheekily said that was his favorite unit in the sign-up form. I don't think he even knows what it is now. I don't think he has kept up to date with it. The prostration stage is dead. And he's out of here. No GG. Shopkeeper Dog will type it though, and he's also out. He moves in to face Top Ramen in his vaunted Terran versus Terran. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. So with all that said, Hupsaiya being cast down to the lower bracket, not exactly where he wanted to find himself, but that is where we find him and, of course, Shopkeeper Dog in the upper qualification. We'll get to them later. We're going to go through the other upper matches. I believe up next we have some Protoss versus Protoss action. I believe it's Smarty Cakes versus the Shambler and Arbuz Budesh versus Kasuga. So there you have it. Some PvP action coming at you over the next few days. Thanks for watching, Cosmo, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.